Since taking office, one of the main objectives of this administration is to tackle the financial instability of our healthcare system. Steps taken thus far by previous ministers and continued by this administration were the drafting of the National Health Insurance, currently at the SER, drafting of the Visitors Tax, currently being handled by the Minister of Finance, and continuation of the B1. As stated in my previous press briefings, these steps alone cannot solve our current healthcare crisis. For this reason, I have also requested information from SZV on statistics regarding how much money are we spending on undocumented persons who do not contribute to the SZV for medical assistance over the last 4 years. These results were quite alarming. 2021, 1,876,983. 2022, 2,603,180. 2023, 4,012,156. 2024, 5,603,742. For this reason, we continue to ask business owners to abide by the labor laws. And even if they still hire a foreign national without proper work permit, the system allows for you to register your employees at the SZV for medical coverage. Failure to do so are actually putting the individuals at risk and the community at large. The public will continue to hear from me on these matters, and as we push towards a fairer, more transparent, and more responsible labor environment for all.
So I noticed in a previous press conference that you replied to one of my old questions about how much money is outstanding from government to SZV. I think at the time you mentioned that government owes 69 million guilders, that no interest is being paid by SZV, and since no interest is being paid, that there's no loan agreement. So I want to make sure first, did I get my information correct?
Yeah, the amount for SZV for the OZR was 69,092,000, and also for services that SZV is rendering on behalf of government, that was 49,598,000.
Okay. So SZV is an insurance company. So normally these funds that SZV has that they're not spending would be invested, and the interest from that money would be used to cover the stability of SZV going forward and its operational costs. So the fact that government isn't paying any interest on it, and the fact that, from what you're saying, there's no plan to pay back that money, doesn't that put SZV in a financial constraint?
No, I think somewhere the communication went wrong. I never said that there was no plan to pay back the money. I think that's one of the reasons we're busy restructuring how we are, the financial aspect, that's one of the reasons we're busy restructuring the national health care for St. Martin, and that's for the NHI. That's one of the strategies, as stated earlier in my press, as stated today, together also with the B1 and also with the tourist levy. So we're busy looking at different ways so that we can start to pay back and also put SZV in a more financially healthier, stable position.
But currently, there is no payment plan.
Yeah, there is. We do make structural payments to SZV. And in addition to that, I know this year we have also added, based on SZV's request, an additional $1 million to it as well.
But this debt to SZV continues to grow. So although government is making payments, the payments are not sufficient to keep the debt stable or bring it down.
Yes, and part of the reason to that is because of of course, the constant increase in different prices when it comes to healthcare service. Also, one of the things that I've mentioned today that I spoke about is the cost that SZV and by extension the people of St. Martin have to cover for undocumented persons who are not registered or not contributing to the SZV system. As you notice in my press statement this morning, each year for the last 4 years, each year it has been going up by 1 million, approximately 1 million each year. So if we continue to let this, for me, I see this as as one of the leaks in the bucket that we have to actually plug up. And that's why I'm addressing it now.
And just for clarity, although if an employer has an undocumented person working, legally they're still obligated to pay taxes and their SZV premiums for them. I mean, SZV has employees registered who are undocumented who are paying their premiums.
You're absolutely correct, Mr. Lee. The system allows that the undocumented persons can pay tax into the system of St. Martin. The system also allows that business owners can register undocumented persons and also let them contribute to the pot. And the statistics right now with regard to SZV, how much persons SZV has now that is registered, that is contributing to the pot. When it comes to undocumented, it's about 5,000. So about 5,000 undocumented persons are contributing into the pots of SZV.
And I found your statement interesting. So I ask a follow-up question then about how much SZV has spent on undocumented, on healthcare services for undocumented. Could you, I don't expect you have the answer now, but could you tell us how much is SZV paying for uninsured people's healthcare expenses? So for example, these scooter riders on the road, if they get into an accident, if they don't have health insurance, in the end, SZV/government end up paying those expenses. Or if people living here who just don't have insurance have a healthcare crisis, government or SZV ends up picking up those costs. Yeah. Can you let us know what those amounts are by year in the same way you've laid out for the undocumented?
That information I can inquire from SZV so that I can share that with you. But I can tell you now as well that usually, for example, when individuals that are uninsured, they get in an accident, they do receive care at the medical center, and usually they're still responsible. That individual is still responsible to take care of that bill when they're healthy enough to leave the hospital. So usually the hospital would have that bill, and SZV doesn't cover the bill for those individuals. Then SZV really gets involved when that person has to be flown out. So that's the area where SZV actually, we as government actually has to cover the cost for persons that are uninsured that actually has to be flown out. That those expenses has to be paid. But as I will take the question, as just to give you a little heads up on that as well, I will take the question and I will pass it on and provide it to you at the next press briefing.
Transfers from the police station were completed within 24 hours in full compliance with the Court of First Instance rulings that we were facing at the time. While inmates relocated to Bonaire remain there for the medium term, we're working to safely bring them back. Electrical power has been restored, and final works on the ground floor are underway. Fire detection systems are operational, with upgrades to alarm connectivity in progress, and plans are in place for expanded CCTV coverage. Cell scraping and cleaning are complete, and painting is in process. Importantly, programs are returning. The GED classroom has been relocated to a more secure area and resumed operations this Monday. Sewing classes are also back in session. We've also met with JNIS to restart reintegration programs, and discussions are progressing to resume programs that were halted after the fire. Gym sessions, music classes, and inmate labor assignments are also active. the temporary suspension of rights and privileges has been lifted, and regular visits resumed on June 12th. Family visits have also been introduced to allow inmates more meaningful contact with their families. This special event is organized every other month and provides inmates with the opportunity to spend extended quality time with their children, parents, partners, or other close family members in a relaxed and supportive setting. Our prison recovery is not happening in isolation. It's tied to a broader vision for justice reform, one that even took me to Strasbourg 2 months ago at the beginning of June. I had the honor of representing St. Martin at the Council of Europe, where I addressed the Committee of Ministers regarding the procedure concerning the landmark case of Corallo versus the Netherlands, a case which puts us under actually extensive supervision by the Council of Europe. This was an opportunity to engage directly with the representatives of 46 member states on detainee rights, justice system reforms, and our compliance with human rights treaties applicable via the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Beyond the plenary debate, I held bilateral meetings with the European Court of Human Rights, the European Committee for the Prevention of Torture, the CPT, and senior officials across human rights, education, and youth divisions. These engagements reinforce St. Martin's commitment to a justice system grounded in human rights, with an emphasis on capacity building, mental health in detention, reintegration, and alternatives to incarceration. On July 31st, we signed a landmark €3.8 million agreement with the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, otherwise known as the UNODC, to launch the Advanced SXM program. This is a 4-year initiative that will provide structured rehabilitation and reintegration pathways for inmates, and, equally important, will invest in the men and women who serve on the front lines of our prison system. For too long, these officers have carried out their duties under extremely difficult, and let's be very honest here today, dangerous conditions, without the full resources, tools, and institutional support that they deserve. Through Advanced SXM, correctional officers will benefit from a comprehensive training and development plan aimed at increasing professionalism, morale, and long-term retention. Institutional policies, procedures, and codes of conduct will also be revised and standardized, ensuring that staff have a safe, structured, and supportive work environment. By pairing rehabilitation for inmates with investment in our staff, we're restoring both the operational and human foundations of our justice system. This is how we begin to undo years of institutional neglect and build a prison service that reflects the fairness, dignity, and professionalism that we expect from our justice chain. In addition to these operational and human resource investments, preparations for the construction of the new prison are moving forward according to plan, with work scheduled to begin in the 4th quarter of this year. To be clear, we're actually in the process right now within the next week of awarding the bid to a qualified contractor. This project will more than double our current detention capacity and is being planned in close coordination with the operational efforts in the works. By aligning physical construction with the institutional and human capacity building taking place through Advanced SXM, we're ensuring that when the doors of this new facility open, it will be more than just a modern, pretty building. It will be a fully equipped, professionally staffed, and rehabilitation-focused institution. At the same time, we're developing a new collaboration with the Aruba-based organization Tudo Está Possível, or in English, Everything is Possible, and our own St. Martin Development Fund, the SMDF. Together, we're hoping to adapt an innovative EU funding rehabilitation programs locally. These initiatives, which come at no cost to the government of St. Martin, are particularly valuable given the ongoing strain on the national budget. By tapping into the European Solidarity Corps funding, we can introduce programs in creative arts, social enterprise, and post-relief volunteer opportunities without adding to our local expenditures. This partnership will complement the structured frameworks introduced through the UNODC agreement, ensuring that our rehabilitation efforts are both financially sustainable and impactful. These steps, recovery at Point Blanche, international engagement in Strasbourg, the launch of Advanced SXM, the construction of the new prison, and the EU-funded rehabilitation initiatives are all connected by a single aim: to build a fairer, more effective, and more humane system in St. Martin. Before I proceed with answering the previously posed questions, I want to also briefly acknowledge the other part that was the other topic in this agenda point, which we didn't get time to touch on the last time, which is the rise in crime. The discussion about a rise in crime must be grounded in facts and not just a perception or the feeling that you get in the pit of your stomach. To this end, we're finalizing an in-depth analysis of crime data over the recent years, and I hope that I will be able to return and be invited to Parliament to brief you on those findings once they're complete. In the meantime, I want to recognize the work of KPSM, which the public has also seen reflected in recent media reports. For the first half of 2025, we see targeted enforcement producing results. Arrests to week 32 are higher than the same period last year. There have been 5 robberies of jewelry stores this year, and arrests were made in 4 of the 5 cases, with suspects caught in the act in 3 of them. Weapon seizures so far are already close to the last year's total, so we expect that that amount will be higher this year. The number of traffic accidents is down, which we attribute to preventive campaigns, traffic controls, and citations. The volume of 911 calls is lower, suggesting fewer reported incidents. The number of tickets issued is higher than at this time last year, reflecting a more repressive posture where needed. We're applying a hotspot approach and strengthening our chain cooperation and regional police cooperation to improve both our information position and our ability to act swiftly.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah, your social health insurances.
The Ministry of Vromi, Department of Infrastructure Management, together with the Police Department, KPSM, is making changes to traffic on a section of Canagita Street and Manzanella Stake, Phillipsburg. The Canagita Street from the intersection with Percy LaBega Street to Manzanella Stake will now be a one-way street. Inbound traffic can enter Canagita Street from Percy LaBega Street and drive straight ahead or turn left into Manzanella Stake. Outbound traffic leaving town on Canagita Street must make a right turn onto Manzanella Stake. Entry further into the Canagita Street will no longer be permitted. Outbound traffic exiting Manzanella Stake onto Walton Nisbet Road can either make a right or left-hand turn. The Ministry of Vromi, Department of Infrastructure Management, and the Police Department would like to thank the public for their attention to this change. Please follow the new traffic rules and signage and drive safely.
(24/7) TV programming on www.stmartinmediacenter.com, SXM Daily News, PBS NewsHour, Now You Know, Com programs, documentary, entertainment, sports events, Saturday children's hours, religion programs, and movies. Click on SXM TV broadcast to see your favorite programs.
Moving along to the Slavery Remembrance Fund, I announced this week that we have secured funding upwards of $5.3 million from the Dutch government with regards to the Slavery Remembrance Fund that was announced around the time of the apology from then Prime Minister Rutte and the King, Willem Alexander. Just to share a bit more on some of the projects that are going to be addressed with this fund And just to explain that we had to submit an action agenda of projects with fully thought out plans, invoices, etc. So there is no deviating from this list of projects. The funds are allocated to them. And as international financing rules go, it has to be spent on these projects that it has been designated for. There will be a project for national curriculum development for the history of St. Martin, designing and implementing a comprehensive, culturally grounded history education at all levels. A monument remapping, beautification, and digital infrastructure project for the mapping, restoration, and enhancing of historical sites with modern digital tools and educational signage. Upgrading the Phillipsburg Cultural and Community Center, so transforming a central cultural venue into a resilient and multifunctional space. A heritage scholarship program, building long-term capacity in the heritage and cultural sectors through higher education. Genealogical research for descendants, which project will support genealogical research to help descendants trace their lineage and explore connections to their heritage, including establishing resources for accessible archives and personal histories. Upgrading at the John Larmony Center, restoring and activating a key cultural site through community-driven restoration, youth engagement, and heritage-based programming that connects past, present, and future. Upgrading of CMARC and museum staff, so strengthening institutional capacity through staffing, training, and operational support for CMARC and museum teams engaged in research, preservation, and public education. Developing books and audio-visual material history of St. Martin, so to couple that with the first project of national curriculum development, it's one thing to have the curriculum, but you also have the materials to execute said curriculum. And that will be a separate project under this fund. And finally, archiving and digitization, funding large-scale digital access to colonial and post-colonial documentation. More details will be shared on these projects as they get going. And I will also have some updated information in terms of project management and how the ministry will move forward with managing the fund as the tranches come in.
Your social and health insurance is Your social and health insurance.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
24/7 TV programming on www.stmartinmediacenter.com, SXM Daily News, PBS NewsHour, Now You Know, com programs, documentary, entertainment, sports events, Saturday children's hours, religion programs, and movies. Click on SXM TV broadcast to see your favorite programs.
On Brief Remarks this morning, I want to begin by providing a brief update on the ongoing Canagita Street project in Phillipsburg. The outlines for the sidewalk and small plaza have been completed. In the coming days, work will continue with the preparation of curbs for designating parking areas on both sides of the road. This will be followed by the installation of pavers, planters, bollards, and benches. The final phase includes placing traffic signs and applying a new layer of asphalt. I'm pleased to report that the project remains on track despite some slight delays. Regarding Sugar Garden in ATLH Road, as was already in the media, we have moved forward straight ahead with the completion of the pavement and sidewalks for that area, and beautification is the next step. Regarding Manjack Drive, to which there was some concerns around the ability to actually fix that road and hard surface it, we have indeed managed to get through that hurdle. There was some issues regarding the land ownership and where the bound rests. That has been resolved and is on track for finalization as well. State of garbage collection and cleanliness. The Ministry of Vromi has advised to terminate the contract with the garbage hauler for Parcel 5. Parcel 5 is the area from the foot of town, commonly referred to as Down Street, to the Jose Lake Ballpark. This area consists of several neighborhoods, including Port Willem, Cahill, Bel Air, Velgelege, and parts of Cul-de-Sac and Phillipsburg. Garbage collection in this area was awarded to Aviana Cleanup and Construction in March 2021. The decision to terminate was approved by the Council of Ministers as procedurally required. The decision to terminate comes from a breach of contract by Aviana for the regular and proper servicing of bins and waste collection. Upon taking office in June of last year, as Minister of Vromi, I held an initial meeting with all haulers to get an idea of the challenges being faced, given the very clear issues around garbage collection and cleanliness in the country. This was followed up with another meeting in October to assess progress and address any other bottlenecks. In both meetings, and as stated by myself here at press briefing, in the media, and on the floor of Parliament, island-wide cleanliness is the responsibility of not only the haulers to collect, but also of that of the population to respect the rules and schedules, and that of the government to educate, monitor, and enforce. Taking this into consideration, government gave support to Aviana in the form of government equipment in times when they were unable to execute their task in an effort to mitigate nuisance to the population. Unfortunately, the hauler continued to be unable to execute the contract, and we started the termination process in December of last year. It must be noted that during the process, two obstacles occurred. The first being that between 2021 and 2024, except in the very beginning of the contract, no warnings were issued, and those that were issued at the beginning of this term had administrative errors. Thus, we were unable to terminate as required, as deemed valid in December. In January, we began again using a proper administrative system, and thus we have come to the point where we are now able to terminate the contract of Aviana. The next in line who will be taking over this parcel is Meadowlands. Meadowlands currently has 3 parcels under its contract. Thus, the decision was taken to exclude Meadowlands in this for Parcel 5 and move to the third person in the contract tendering list, which is always in place. Meadowlands' work of collecting in this parcel will end on Friday, August the 13th. It is important to note that the decision to terminate comes after lengthy discussions with all parties involved. During my mandate, we have done a lot of work to ensure cleanliness around the island and ensure that all haulers are compliant and well supported. To this end, we want to thank Aviana for their support, and we also want to highlight that this comes as well on the heels of the report of the Ombudsman, which indicated that the process for issuing the tenders with contracts, my apologies, was neither fair nor sufficiently transparent. We urge everyone to recognize their role in garbage collection, and again, we look forward to continuing working with all haulers and give them support where necessary. Continuing on the topic of waste and garbage collection, I'm happy to announce that the contract to hire the entity that will write the Waste Authority Ordinance, as well as redraft my apologies, as well as redraft the current waste ordinance has been signed off and will soon commence. This is part of the Emergency Debris Management Trust Fund project conditions and a big step towards regulation of our solid waste management. This ordinance will also regulate, alongside with the financial framework, fees associated with solid waste disposal. We are looking forward to tackling our waste issues in a much more intentional and structured way. The landfill has long been a point of contention on the island and a growing eyesore. In addition to our indiscriminate dumping practices, we also currently have the issue of entrance to our landfill being free, unlike on the French side, as well as several other countries around the world, which has resulted in a disproportionate amount of dumping. With these steps, we are working towards reshaping our entire approach to waste.